Hey guys, here's another sound design tip for you. So if you're creating thriller music or working with production music in general, then probably you've been in that strugglesome situation too, where you were about to find the perfect riser for your section, but the risers you found were nice sounding but too short, or long enough but they were not really creating the right tension for that section. So today I brought you a nice little tip and a free plugin that actually can solve all of these problems instantly. Let me show you what I got here. So here's the struggle. I have this really nice sound that I want to use on my 8-bar long section. This is how the sound goes. It's a really nice airy riser. So what do I do if I want to use it on my 8-bar long, 12-second long section? I go and try to warp it. And I mute the other sounds and I'll show you what I got after warping. Probably you also been here, you were trying to stretch it out, but it ends up having a really metallic, unpleasant sound full of artifacts. So it's a no-go. Cubase has different algorithms when it comes to warping and stretching. But none of them is really working in this type of a situation. And also Cubase have some special function when it comes to warping, but those are also not really good for this type of radical job. And some other DAWs like Ableton has some better warping functions, but with this radical tweaking, none of them will do the job for you, sadly. But there is hope, since some crazy guys developed a plugin called Pollex Stretch, which is totally free, and after their sayings, it's good for radical audio transformation, which means that we can almost infinitely stretch our audio samples without losing their original character or quality. This sounds awesome, so let's check it out how it works. So again, just for a quick second, let me show you the original sample, how it sounded. And let me show you the stretched version that I made with the Pollex Stretch plugin. So I honestly think that this plugin and the algorithm behind it is truly amazing, because I could extend my original sample to multiple times of the length without losing its original character and without filling it with unwanted, unpleasant, annoying frequencies and artifacts. So let me show you how this plugin works in action. Because the fact that it's free brings a detail that the user interface is not that self-explanatory. So let's take our original sample and put it somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And let me fire up the Pollex Stretch plugin. So there you go, here's the Pollex Stretch plugin. And the Pollex Stretch plugin works with a buffer. So first what you need to do is to play your sample and hit the record or capture button inside the plugin so it buffers your sample. If you want to hear what you are listening to or what you're buffering, you can activate this button and then you can re-record your buffer. There you go. So after we did this step, we can get rid of the original sample, so we don't need it anymore. We only need this buffer that we captured inside the Pollex Stretch plugin. So the next step will be to select the necessary part that we want to stretch. So you can choose to stretch the whole sample, or you can just find a nice area that you like the most and choose to stretch that one only. The next thing you will have to do is to on off this switch. And after this, the plugin will start working. I don't know if it's a bug or it's meant to work like this, but this is how it starts to work. So after this on off, you can hit the play button and listen what it does. So at the moment, it only stretches double the length of the original sample, but as this slider goes, you can see that it can like 1,000 times longer. So it's crazy. So let's try something a little bit more subtle, like 4 times longer the size, because originally this length of the section was almost 4 times longer than my original sample. So let's check it out, how it sounds. You can instantly hear that it's working, but it's not too self-explanatory what it does. So what I will do is to make this section a little bit longer, and I let it start in the beginning so it becomes a little bit more quiet. Alright, so I like this result. And there are a ton of other sliders here which you can tweak, but the one I like the most is this Tonal vs noise slider, which I was tweaking to get the right sound that I wanted to tweak out from this plugin. So again, let's hit the monitor. So this is something that I wanted to tweak out, and please just don't ask me what this plugin actually does. You are changing some sort of ratio of tonal and noise and inharmonic sounds inside the sound, and basically it uses a crazy Fourier transformation, and you can set the sample size of this transformation. But that's all I know about this plugin, and the other thing I know that it's crazy, and it's after your ears you have to tune it and tweak it, but you can get really nice results really easily. And after you hear what you wanted to hear, you can hit the render button and render out the whole sample, or you can hit this momentary render, which just renders exactly what you are monitoring at the moment. So I will choose to render the whole file. And after importing this sample, I can see now that it's not as long as I wanted. So I go for more. Let's go for like 10 or 11 times more of a stretch. And render it again. And boom, there you go. Here is the gigantic riser that we just created. Let's give it a quick listen. But for the quick listen, we have to turn this plugin actually off. It is just crazy, isn't it? And after we're done with stretching, let's add some extra crazy spatial effects. So add the room sound or reverb, which is quite basic, nothing too fancy, but a nice cinematic reverb, and a modular panning with Snap Heap. If you haven't tried out Snap Heap, go for it. It's a modular plugin and it's able to do almost anything in the world that is sound design. So I'm firing up a utility plugin which basically will control the panning of this track. And now I'm firing up an LFO that is controlling the pan of this stereo utility plugin. So far, this is how it sounds. But I want it from the left-right pan. Alright, it's good so far, but I want an accelerating, crazy, unsettling, unnerving pan. So what I do is to add another extra LFO, put it in front of the other LFO, and make a control LFO from it. So I'm changing it to sync, I'm changing it to 64. So basically I'm changing it to a 16 bar length LFO. And I'm also changing the shape of it to be a ramp up, and this ramp up will control the speed of my other LFO. So basically this one is speeding up this one, and this one is controlling the pan of this utility plugin. And as a finishing touch, we're chopping off the end of this sample. So let me show you the final result. So as you can see, with these plugins, the fancy and cheesy sound design becomes really simple and achievable for anyone. I hope you like this lesson. See you in the next one.